Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, the voice of MMA in Utah, Mr. Zack Partridge.
What up, dog?
Are you the voice of MMA in Utah, or are you the voice of California right now?
Apparently, California. I don't know.
Why aren't you wearing
I don't
your
know,
mask?
man.
Put your mask on.
No mask. No, dog. How dare you?
Oh, man. So, Zack, we got a fighter spotlight coming in today. Mr. Brutal Ben Egli joining us. Ben, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you joining us. So you're coming up to Salt Lake January 29th to fight for Fierce Fighting Championship at the Maverick Center. How do you feel, man?
I feel great. You know, I'm at the point in training where the conditioning's great. My body feels good, and I'm just ready to fight. I'm ready. It could be tomorrow. I have to be patient and keep training hard, keep cutting weight and stuff like that. But I'm ready to go today.
Nice.
I was looking at your Tapology, and I see you have an extensive background in grappling tournaments and competing in grappling. How do you liken grappling to fighting, or is it just trying to get more reps and competition in?
Yeah, so jiu-jitsu has always been kind of my specialty. What my main background coming to MMA was wrestling, and I was more of a counter wrestler. I was a little guy growing up, never a big, strong, muscly guy, but I was a counter wrestler. Had to be a little bit quicker, had to be a little bit more technical. So that style of wrestling played right into kind of the tactics of jiu-jitsu. So I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, got really good at it quickly, I feel like. And since I've been a blue belt, I've been competing in as many jiu-jitsu competitions as I could, as long as it was around my fighting schedule. So I'd use times in local grappling competitions, or in recent years, like, you know, submission underground professional jiu-jitsu competitions to stay sharp for MMA, which has been really good.
Yeah. I just got to ask, how was it sharing the mat with Craig Jones?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So it's cool. Craig is an awesome guy. I mean, he's if you follow him on social media and stuff, he's a silly guy.
He's
wild.
Very
quiet and soft spoken, but he's very funny. Super humble guy. So I actually faced him the week after the whole world learned his name at ADCC. So I had been scheduled in Submission Underground to face him. He had won EBI and looked tough, was obviously a leg locker, and then he goes and just like almost wins ADCC. And so I'm like, well, this will be a tough match, but it was going to be a tough match a week ago too. And I gave it my best shot. I lasted longer than like his next 10 opponents or something. His next 7, I think, didn't even last 30 seconds each.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I've got to see him a lot on the circuit. So he's a cool guy. It's always nice to say hi to him and just hear what's going on at his level.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Craig Jones, like you said, is one of the best grapplers in the world. Probably right up there with the best grapplers in the world, jiu-jitsu wise.
Did you guys, either one of you, Ben or Zack, did you catch the match a couple weeks ago with him and Sean Brady?
Yeah.
I missed it. I saw the highlights. I had seen his previous match before that with Cowboy.
Yeah.
But no, I missed the loss.
You didn't miss much. Nothing really happened. I think Sean Brady may have gotten a little hometown love, but
gotcha.
And there was no they couldn't do leg locks. So the big part of his game was missing. So it was like, I don't really count that as a loss.
Well, and that's interesting because Craig obviously is a great leg guy, but if you can't go for legs, you can also stall more. So which is
what Sean
That's
Brady
exactly
did.
What it was. It was yeah. So, I mean, you got to give it to Sean though. He's big, strong. Like, I mean, he wasn't getting taken advantage of, and he wasn't doing anything either. So, I mean, you can't really knock him too much.
Good to survive, because Craig is good everywhere. He just is so good at the legs, but he'll get you anywhere.
Heck yeah.
So enough of grappling. We're MMA and stuff like that. I mean, grappling is part of it. So one thing that's very curious for me to watch, and as we're watching this card play out, our main event and co-main event are four of the top 155ers in the country that are unsigned to major organizations right now.
Yeah.
you being one of them. What do you think about your matchup? And then what do you think about being a 155er in MMA, which that is like the deepest, most exciting, intense division, I think, weight class in the sport?
Yeah, I agree. You said a whole bunch of good stuff right in a row. I've been ranked very highly. I've been, one phone call away from the UFC for a long time. Won a lot of fights, but have had some misplaced decision losses. Not misplaced that they were just bad timing. I definitely lost the fights, but just inconvenient timing to keep the momentum going after years of being undefeated before then. The lightweight division is amazing. I started MMA as a lightweight at the time it was the lightest weight class you could fight at. So I wrestled 2 years in high school at 103 pounds. And then I'm like, well, I'm still going to be the smallest guy in MMA if 155 is the smallest. Bumped up to 170. Spent most of my pro career there, and now I'm back. But we do have some good lightweights on this card. All of us have been probably pretty close for a while. I would say that I have been closest the longest. I think I'm the oldest, or almost older than most of the guys. And my matchup here is going to be a really exciting one. I mean, I think any promotion on the planet will be lucky to have me and my opponent's fight. Him coming from one and me having as many fights as I've had. I have the experience advantage. I have the finish rate, which he does not, but we are going to get after it for sure.
Question. Can you say your opponent's name?
I can't.
Amisar Tuska. I can read it. When I read it, I can say it. I think about it all the time, but Amisar is something. And I apologize to him for mispronouncing his name. My last name's weird, but so I do my best.
No, we just laugh because we the Mongolian. We keep calling him
the Mongolian.
Nobody around. We got to figure out how to say his name.
Yeah, we're going to be calling the fight, so we better know his name.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Got to figure that out real quick.
But so, what do you know about him? You said he has a lot more decisions. You've been a bit more of a finisher in your career, but coming from the big prestigious, ONE FC, which probably doesn't get enough credit here in the States for how good of a promotion and organization that is and how huge and the talent level that's there. You're coming off of an LFA fight, right?
So I had an LFA fight that I took on 1 week's notice and lost.
Oh, and then you had one more. Sorry.
And then I just recently won at the end of this summer in North Dakota for Randy Couture's promotion.
Okay.
Right. One is a great organization. They're still striking heavy because of where they are in Asia. They have all the best Thai fighters and people like that come from really more of a striking background. They're MMA fighters, so they have a little bit of everything, but beautiful, dangerous, technical striking over there. With a little bit less wrestling and a little bit less jiu-jitsu. So I'm a lot more of the jiu-jitsu. I don't fight like a wrestler, which sometimes for this fight, I might need to push the pace, lean him up against the cage, get that takedown to work the jiu-jitsu. But he's definitely a stand-up guy. Karate and boxing together, which makes a kickboxer, and he's got that karate movement. He moves incredibly fast backwards. So he can get away quickly and he can strike while moving backwards. So that's what I've seen. He gives some people some trouble with.
I mean, that's really is an art in striking that is probably, it seems like either some people just have it or they don't, but isn't taught a lot in the room.
I would say, from the karate, if you look at all the karate guys that most people would know, Lyoto Machida would leap in and leap out. You'd see Wonder Boy, same that really bladed, staggered stance coming in and coming out. I think is something that they just train a lot of, and that's just part of his style. And then you add the boxing in a little bit, and then I think it's definitely something that can be worked, but he's particularly good at it.
That's interesting. All right, so do you like to watch a lot of film on your opponents, or is that something you kind of leave it to your coaches, or what? so I know some people they won't watch any. Some people will watch very little, or some will just dive in. I'm the type I like to dive in, and I'll watch my opponent's fights over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I definitely try to find. I like to see what's out there. I try to find everything I can, and then I have to kind of rate the information in my brain. So it's like sometimes you'll find a guy, especially with this stupid pandemic and whatnot. It's like, okay, I've got 2 recent fights, but then the next fights are 3-4 years ago. Are those 3-4 years ago fights going to matter to me that much? Maybe or maybe not, right? If I watch that fight and then I watch his recent fight, if he looks the same, right, I can make some judgments based on that. If it looks way different, I need to expect something completely different, maybe. So I try to watch as much as I can. I'll watch the really old fights, but only a couple times just to get an idea. And then I'm looking at what's the person doing now. And, what do I need to do? What do I have that I can just already win this fight today? And what should I work on? And, I'm kind of a big picture guy. I don't do a ton of like, I'm going to throw 3 jabs every 14 seconds. Like, maybe that's a bad idea sometimes. That's at the highest levels. You'll see those in those UFC title fights. Like, you just win the round by a jab. But for me, I train to fight, and I want to be controlling the center of the cage. I want to be controlling the action. I want to land the better shots. I want to get hit less, and I want to work for the finish. So I just want to look at the guy, get a feel for him, see what he likes to do, see if he moves, what he's really good at and what he's really bad at.
I like it.
A big bad.
Love the outlook, Ben.
Where do you train out of, Ben?
Yeah, so I have a couple places. Where I train with a coach. I only have one coach that oversees me directly every week. I have instructors, from my jiu-jitsu lineage that are my mentors and things like that, but they live in other states and things. And, they got me started and I train directly under them. But I have a small group of people that I train with. And then I have the majority of all my coaching and training happens at Burke Muay Thai. So couple little gyms, and I have the ability, thankfully, to cross train with people, get different looks. Oregon, it's a terrible place to be right now with all the politics and whatnot, and the endless lockdowns and the masking and whatnot. But we have a very, very tight knit community of people, and if you're a responsible, real martial artist that can train hard and train safe, and you've been around, you can get a really incredible training with other trusted people. And that was what was such a shame. One of the many about all the stuff going on is that that great community was great still, but it's just, we had this great thing that couldn't live up to its potential for a while.
Yeah.
Touch on that. It's made MMA hard across the board the last couple of years, right? These are people's careers. I look at some guys that it's like, you're probably in that range where, you're entering the prime where you want to be active and make your name, make your big show and get going. And, you've paid your dues. You're 17 quality fights into a pro MMA career. And, they're cutting people's windows short. Right?
They are 100%. They're taking away, they're taking money out of our pocket, which is not the main thing, but they're taking our glory away from us, that we won't have a chance. And nobody really understands that. Like, nobody cared, the average person doesn't care about athletic prowess, doesn't care about, children's education. They're like, oh, everybody will be fine because this one thing is more important to me. It's like, well, you're taking away something that I could never get back, and I haven't slowed down. I've trained as hard as I could in my whatever way possible during different times during this stuff. But for people have no idea what it takes to do 1 week of what I do in training, and people like me do, and all the sacrifices that we make that are so rewarding but so difficult, and so like our families just experience the hard parts of it. They get to celebrate the win, but they have to put up with us being starving and grumpy and beat up. And to make all that maybe not worth it is disgusting to me. And, same with any other part of life, of your business closed forever because of lockdowns, or your child that used to love school and now they hate it and they're just robbing people of things. And it's like, money can be replaced, property can be replaced. But like the mindset and the things, that you'll change in your brain forever could be just devastating.
I don't think we've even touched on what's to come with some of that stuff mentally with everything that's going on. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I say it all the time. You talk about the family aspect. Are you married, Ben?
Yeah, I'm married and I have a son.
Yeah. See, that's my wife will tell everybody, they're like, how do you watch your husband fight? And she's like, watching him fight's easy. It's the 8-week fight camp. I'm married with 3 boys and a 4th on the way. And it's like, that's what they have to live through. Right.
Yep. It's terrible. I mean, we have, every time we start a fight camp too, everybody kind of has to remind themselves like, this is going to be different. How we eat, where we eat, what food can be in the house, what time I go to bed, what type of workout I have. My dad actually a few months before my last fight, right after my last fight, told me that he had cancer. And he found out before I fought, but didn't tell me because he didn't want to throw me off my game. And my immediate reaction was, I was so thankful that he's the toughest person on the planet, and also very thoughtful too. So I appreciated that so much. But then I also felt really bad that you can't tell your boy that you have cancer, and he could have, but the power was on him. And that's kind of the thing that I learned from my dad and he learned from his dad, et cetera, is like, it's on you. It's on you to protect yourself, to work hard, to do this. And when you have control of your life, you can make decisions and calls like that. Like, do I want to tell people I have cancer, or do I want to wait a little bit? Should I panic, or should I be relaxed and wait to see what the doctor says, And thankfully he just had to have some skin and some lymph nodes taken out of his neck, lost a little bit of his ear, but he's cancer free already. So
that's good. That's
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's good. But it takes that was weird. It takes a toll on the family, right? And so when people cancel fights and stuff because of silly reasons, that gets me fired up.
So Ben, back to your fight on January 29th against the Mongolian.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a prediction? You don't have to, but we got to ask.
Yeah. So I always am going to say I'm going to finish the fight. I have 13 wins. I have 13 finishes. The other thing you could say on the other side is all my losses are by decision, which means I'm really tough. But what I always say is I'm going to get the finish. I'm going to fight from bell to bell. I'm going to win every exchange, every minute, every round. I'm going to go for the finish, and wherever that comes, I'm going to get it.
In Nate Diaz's book, you're undefeated, right?
You're undefeated, Ben. You're undefeated.
You don't get finished, and it's not a real loss.
Exactly. That is kind of true, I think.
Yeah, we can't stress enough, as Zack said in the beginning of this, you and the Mongolian, this is 2 high-level fighters that are just about to right at this next level. And I'm super excited to see you guys both in the cage, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person January 29th.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there any sponsors you want to give a shout out to? Anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, I'm sure there's a million. I don't do too many sponsors these days. I haven't for a long time, and that's for a variety of reasons. But Easy Flex sports mats would be one. Thank you to Iridium Sports Agency for, booking me my fights and things like that. Thank you to all my team members. You know who you are. And, thanks to my family and my friends.
Awesome, Ben. January 29th. You can see the website on here. You can order the pay-per-view. If you're in Oregon and you can't make it down, www.fiercefightingchampionship.com. Be sure to click on Ben's name when you order. Ben, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, guys.
We will see you January 29th.
Yes, sir.
We out.
Thanks, Ben.